You know, I always had this interest for like law enforcement and prosecution and you know, the criminal justice system from like the law enforcement prosecutor side. But then, you know, after I graduated and I kind of got out of that like, you know, environment of, you know, the ivory tower kind of environment, I kind of started seeing things. This was right around like Trayvon Martin. And I started seeing really how the police act and how the criminal justice system is really skewed and everything. And it just drew me away from that. And ultimately, I was kind of lost for this period where I was just like hopping from like pizza place to pizza place. And I finally found a home at Five Points Pizza, which is in East Nashville. It's in a neighborhood called Five Points, like one of the coolest neighborhoods in Nashville, I think. I finally found a home there. Like the owner and his wife are actually lawyers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they left the practice of law to open this pizza restaurant, and you know they kind of had choice words to say about going into the practice of law, but I didn't let it deter me. You know, and through that time, while I was there, I learned like a lot of management skills, people skills. I was dealing with, you know, different people from all over the country, just who are working there and visiting that neighborhood and just interacting with so many people. And it was a great, great, great life experience. Taught me time management and efficiency mostly, which I use currently to this day.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people undermine working in retail, working in fast food.
Yeah.
They don't, if they haven't worked in it, they don't know how hard it is, how tough that type of lifestyle and job is.
For sure. It definitely gives you those core skills like work ethic, time management, people, customer service. It gives you those kind of hard, those core skills that you need no matter what you transition into. So like it's very, very valuable.
So did those skills play out at all within your practice or any other law firms that you worked for prior?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely started in law school. You know, learning how to manage my time properly, and being amongst like people who were like kind of the who's who of the community. I had no idea that I was going to be interacting with people. I remember during orientation, there was a guy sitting next to me who turned out to be a Republican candidate for president's grandson.
Wow.
So yeah, this dude's dad was, or granddad was running for president, right? And I'm over here like next to him, like everyone's scared. No one knows, no one really knows what's happening. It's kind of like a Hogwarts type of experience. So yeah, you have to learn how to, you know, what's important, how to manage your time, how to do all that from the get-go. And in law practice, 100%. Yeah, especially when you're on your own. You really have to hone in on those because if not, you're going to be tied to your business and, you know, there's really no separation.
Yeah, I think it's definitely valuable, and it's interesting to hear that even working at a pizza restaurant or people who work in retail or fast food or anywhere else that's considered more of the working class type of work, how much of those skills transfer into something that's considered by society a bit more on the professional side, such as law.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously there's a certain skill set that you need when you have, you know, skilled jobs like that, like attorney, accountant, physician, you know, even trade workers, you need to have certain, you know, physical skills and, you know, craftsmanship. But I learned a concept when I was working at my dad's restaurant, which is if we got a customer who called us because the pizza was late or something was wrong, I asked, what can I do to fix it? That was the question that I would ask the customers. You know what I mean? And it always got them to chill out. You know what I mean? It always got them to be like, oh, okay, like this dude is really just he wants to know how to fix the problem. And they give me the proposed solution. And if it's good and if it's reasonable, then we do it for them. And it's just that kind of customer service and that kind of customer satisfaction that's required to maintain like a successful restaurant, successful retail store, or whatever it is. That definitely plays in. That definitely plays in. That overall kind of shaping of your attitude, at least when it comes to customer satisfaction, is great. And you know, you got to learn how to be efficient and fast. If you got to get someone their pizza in, you know, 30 minutes or it's free, you got to learn how to make it, deliver it, leave a smile on the customer's face, and that stuff definitely translates.
So with that being said, do you think that your clients that you currently have, I know you pursued immigration law, you now have your own law firm, would love to hear about, you know, your experience within immigration law at your firms, and then your current firm, how you kind of segued into deciding to open up your own firm. And then maybe there's some of those customer service type skills that you picked up just working on pizza that you're applying now to your clients, because I'm sure there were times where a client called you and you just basically said, what can I do to fix it? And it's something much more serious than, am I going to get my pizza? It's, am I going to get deported? Am I going to be able to get citizenship? So would love to hear about that journey.
You know, I didn't know I was going to be an immigration lawyer when I went to law school. I didn't know really that that was a practice area. I kind of always wanted to do criminal defense. And I did work a summer at the public defender's office, and I was working on like some appeals cases, and I just really didn't get much satisfaction out of that. And I realize now that there's way more to criminal defense work than doing like appellate work or appeals after someone's already been convicted. There's a lot of boots on the ground type of work and community advocacy that unfortunately I didn't really get to see in law school. But my internship there did lead me to like discovering immigration. So when I was working at the public defender's office, we had a client who was Somali, and he was in prison. So the prison was right across the street. So one of the lawyers came down. We were all the interns were in this basement, and in this really kind of like musty building in Nashville. Anyways, one of the lawyers comes down. He's like, "Hey, does anyone speak Somali?" And everyone's like, "No." And I was like, "Hey, I speak Arabic. Most of the Somalians speak Arabic, or they can maybe understand Arabic, right?" So he's like, "All right, come on, you're good enough. Come with me." So we literally we walk across the street to the prison, and there's this like Somalian guy. It was like behind some glass. It was dark. It was crazy. And the guy didn't speak a word of Arabic. So I just got to go along for the ride and just see what was going on. But they were talking about the immigration consequences of his conviction or guilty plea that he was about to do. And that, for me, at that moment, I was like, wait, what? Like, immigration consequences? Like this guy could, like, he's not just in jail and going to be convicted, or, but he's also going to suffer immigration consequences. And at that moment, like, it really just opened up for me. I was like, wow, okay, there's a whole nother world. And then that next year when I went back to law school, I started looking into it a little bit more. And there was an internship that was open with ICE. And so I prayed on it a lot, asked a lot of my mentors, and I ended up applying for the internship and I got it. So I was like an ICE prosecutor for almost a year, like while I was in law school, like during 2 semesters. And we got to go to court on some things. At the end of an immigration case in immigration court, there's like a trial. We call it an individual hearing. But we didn't get to do much of those because they were really heavy and we were law students and stuff like that. But I think I got to try one while I was there at ICE. And I still like see that person, because you have to cross-examine the immigrant, right? You have to ask them questions and like poke holes in their stories and stuff like that. And like I still see that like just fear, not that he was scared of me, but like fear of the consequences, in his eyes. And I just like, at that point I was like, all right, I cannot do the government. I cannot do government work. I cannot be on the prosecutorial side. And I kind of discovered that already, while I wanted to be a police officer and a prosecutor and all that, and then I shifted. But this one really just kind of put the end to it. So I was like, all right, I need to make up for this horrible betrayal to my people that I've just done. So my next summer, I had an internship. I got an internship with the International Refugee Assistance Project in Amman, Jordan. And that was like, okay, I went from like one end of the extreme all the way to like the other end. I was like an ICE prosecutor. Now I'm like a bleeding heart liberal who's like helping refugees in the Middle East. And that was a really eye-opening experience, really, really eye-opening experience. First of all, I learned that my Arabic was trash. My Arabic was really bad. Even though I had to communicate with these people, people were laughing at me. My Arabic is a very like, they call it fallahi, which is like a country type of.
You were the redneck of Arabs.
Yeah, I don't even really read Arabic or write it that well. But all I've learned it well from just like absorbing from my my parents and just listening to how they speak at
Right.
home, and it's just this crazy kind of Arabic that a lot of maybe your viewers might know, that is like a cha instead of a cough or a calf or whatever. But I also got to experience, just like crazy sadness and stories, and you know, it was a really eye-opening experience, and I met a lot of like survivors, like real survivors, saw a lot of scars, emotional scars, physical scars, because a lot of the times, unfortunately, some refugees believe that if they can physically prove to you that they've suffered more harm, then they can move through the process faster. So they like to show you their scars. I remember one woman, she just had a slash, like right all the way down,
Oh,
like
man.
from her shoulder, like all the way through her belly. It was just a huge slash, and it's just like the atrocities that go on in the Middle East. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're horrible, and sometimes, unfortunately, our immigration laws now are not tailored to helping those people come over here. They're really tailored to preventing them from coming over here or making it harder for them to get benefits.